Chapter 49, A Condition. Sold. This single word, sold, left Su Jingzhen stunned. For a moment, he couldn't react to Feng Qingya's sudden move. Qingya just said that as long as Master dares to haggle, I'll dare to sell. How about it? Isn't that a friendly deal? Feng Qingya once again revealed her charming smile. However, Su Jingzhen's expression had already returned to its calm state. From 100 mid-grade spirit stones, the price suddenly dropped to 100 low-grade spirit stones. If Feng Qingya didn't have any other motives, Su Jingzhen would never believe it. He directly said, "Miss Feng, you might as well reveal the additional conditions as well, so I can have a clear understanding. Otherwise, if I really buy this item with 100 low-grade spirit stones, I'll feel uneasy in my heart." When he said this, Su Jingzhen's tone remained calm. Su Jingzhen was indeed a small fry in the cultivation world, and this was only temporary. However, in terms of understanding human nature and other aspects, Feng Qingya trying to manipulate him would not be easy. In fact, after hearing this, Feng Qingya became even more uncertain about her previous judgment. Was this really the composure a cultivation newbie should have? At this moment, Feng Qingya even felt that she was being led by the nose by the other party. Every step she took was in rhythm with Su Jingzhen's pace. This feeling made Feng Qingya, who was used to being in control, feel a bit uncomfortable. She smiled and said, "Dealing with a clever person like Master is indeed effortless and relaxing. Although Qingya does have a certain say in the treasure-gathering pavilion, 100 middle-grade spirit stones are indeed not a small number. Qingya has a small additional condition here. If Master agrees, you can have this treasured brick for just 100 low-grade spirit stones." Good guy, the nickname for this brick had changed to treasured brick again. Su Jingzhen didn't mind and continued, "Miss Feng, please go ahead and say it." Since he had already established a connection with Feng Qingya, he would probably come to visit her often after Xianxia left. As long as Feng Qingya's request wasn't excessive, he would likely agree. At this point, Feng Qingya didn't hesitate either. She directly said, "To be honest, I have great confidence in Master's alchemy talent, so I hope that when Master becomes a 5th-rank alchemist, you can refine a pill for me." When she said this, her face had already lost its professional smile, and her expression became extremely serious. Without waiting for Su Jingzhen's response, she added, "If Master agrees to this, I need you to take a great oath." Under the veil, Su Jingzhen raised an eyebrow. Become a 5th-rank alchemist. His current wooden spiritual roots were already at the profound level, and with the support of his profound-level wooden spiritual roots, breaking through to a 3rd-rank alchemist should be manageable. In the future, his profound-level spiritual roots might not be enough, but with the existence of his golden finger, he would definitely upgrade his spiritual roots level in the future. So as long as he could survive, becoming a 5th-rank alchemist wouldn't be his limit. Moreover, by then, Feng Qingya would only need him to refine a single pill. This task wouldn't be difficult for him at that time. Agreeing to this now would definitely be beneficial. In a very short time, Su Jingzhen had already thought through the pros and cons. He didn't hesitate and directly nodded at Feng Qingya. "If Miss Feng only has this one requirement, then we can make a deal." As soon as Su Jingzhen said this, the light in Feng Qingya's eyes brightened even more. Emotional connection +2. Remaining usable points, 219. At the same time, a golden font appeared in front of Su Jingzhen again. He suddenly realized that if he could improve his alchemy skills and had enough spirit stones, he could obtain even more points from Feng Qingya than from Xianxia. After all, Feng Qingya was a merchant at heart, and her emotional manipulation seemed simpler than Xianxia's. As long as he revolved around the concept of profit, he might be able to get more benefits from her. "Master, there's one more thing you haven't done," Feng Qingya reminded him again. Su Jingzhen was taken aback, then smiled. He directly used the highest standard of the cultivation world, pointing one hand to the sky and one hand to the earth. His expression suddenly became serious. "I swear on the great Tao that if I become a 5th-rank alchemist, I will refine a pill for treasure-gathering pavilions Feng Qingya. If I go back on my word, I will be punished by the heavens and the earth." Most cultivators took oaths seriously, because the Great Tao would truly record their vows. If they didn't fulfill their vows when the conditions were met, they would really suffer the consequences of the Great Tao's backlash. That's why cultivators rarely made promises, and after making a promise, most cultivators were able to keep their promises. Emotional connection +2. Remaining usable points, 221. Su Jingzhen had just taken the Great Oath, and the points from Feng Qingye had increased by 2 again. This made him extremely happy in his heart. If he could get a streak going, that would be even better. At this time, Feng Qingye was holding the exquisite box on the table and walked in front of Su Jingzhen. "It's yours." "Oh wait, Master still needs to pay me 100 low-grade spirit stones. Although the spirit stones are few, we did agree on a price, and I can't not collect it." As she said this, she unintentionally threw another charming glance at Su Jingzhen. Reasonable indeed. Su Jingzhen subconsciously avoided looking at Feng Qingye's eyes. He quickly took out 100 low-grade spirit stones. Then he forcibly suppressed the excitement in his heart and took the box from Feng Qingye's hand. However, during the handover, Feng Qingye lightly touched his hand again. Clear heart like water, clear water is the heart, gentle breeze without waves, no ripples. The Clear Heart Sutra was once again silently recited in his heart. The transaction is complete, I bid you farewell. After putting the box away in his storage bag, Su Jingzhen didn't hesitate and directly left the private room. When not discussing business, he was afraid of Feng Qingye's full-force charm attack. He knew that this woman definitely had a charm technique. If he stayed too long, even the Clear Heart Sutra might not be able to withstand it. Looking at Su Jingzhen's hurried departure, Feng Qingye smiled lightly again. "Ha, men. There's still a long way to go." She gently touched her delicate, porcelain-like face, and Feng Qingye was as confident as ever. In fact, with her skills and abilities, she could have forcefully investigated Su Jingzhen's true identity and background. But she enjoyed this kind of hunting-like thrill. However, at this time, Feng Qingye still didn't know that in her game with Su Jingzhen, who would ultimately be the hunter and who would be the prey. When Su Jingzhen came down from the second floor, the people who had mocked him earlier had already left the treasure-gathering pavilion. This only led to a new batch of people coming in, sighing in admiration. "When can we go up to the second floor to trade?" Alas, it's really difficult to reach the foundation establishment stage. Every time Su Jingzhen came down from the second floor, he would hear similar sighs of admiration. But he didn't pay attention, walking directly out of the treasure-gathering pavilion. In reality, reaching the foundation establishment stage wasn't difficult, but for the low-level cultivators gathered here, it was as difficult as climbing to the heavens. Before returning to Peach Blossom Alley, Su Jingzhen had already changed back into his usual attire. He would greet people as he walked, still the same kind and gentle Mr. Su. As he passed by Lu Yuebai's door, he saw the guy sitting on the stone steps outside. Whenever someone walked by, he would smile and greet them. He looked just as kind and friendly as Su Jingzhen. "Mr. Su, going out again? You're going so frequently, are you going to the Flower Moon Pavilion? I heard the female cultivators there are extremely powerful. Why don't we travel together someday?" Since moving here, Lu Yuebai had seen Su Jingzhen almost every time he went out. Or he would be on his way out. At this point, Lu Yuebai considered himself to be somewhat familiar with Su Jingzhen. It was a small, insignificant joke, but it didn't matter. Upon hearing this, Su Jingzhen couldn't help but think of his youthful days, not long after he had transmigrated. The female cultivators at the Flower Moon Pavilion were indeed not to be underestimated. He smiled and said, "If you're free, let's go to the Flower Moon Pavilion another day and have a few drinks." As a first-rate alchemist with a success rate close to 100%, if he really wanted to, he could afford the spirit stones to drink flower wine at the Flower Moon Pavilion. Lu Yuebai's eyes revealed a hint of surprise, but he still smiled and said, "That's a great idea. Cultivating is indeed difficult, and it's necessary to relax occasionally. Next time you go, don't go alone, okay? make sure to call me. Definitely, definitely. Su Jingzhen laughed and nodded to Luo Yuebai, without explaining too much, and then pushed open the door to return to his own school. As he watched Su Jingzhen's back, Luo Yuebai's eyes narrowed slightly. He seems to be genuinely kind and harmless, and the rumors say that the two of them, husband and wife, are at the Kai refining stage, with one having a completely broken danshan. It's even said that Su Jingzhen's danshan has problems, and it's unlikely he'll make any progress in this life. Was the pill really made by him last night? Or is the Enlightenment School not just a residence for the two of them? Luo Yuebai thought to himself, his curiosity about Su Jingzhen growing more intense. It would be great if I could get some unexpected gains while doing my business. Su Jingzhen, of course, didn't know that Luo Yuebai was already paying attention to him. As soon as he pushed open the door and returned to his school, he heard a loud reading voice coming from the direction of the classroom. Naturally, he could tell it was Enning Yao's voice. The girl was probably using this method to distract herself from worrying about her mother. After all, she is just a child, and tomorrow is the time for spiritual awakening, so it was understandable that she was feeling anxious and wanted to review her lessons. It was like the last few days before a big exam in his previous life, when even a poor student like him would still want to flip through their textbooks. Last-minute cramming, praying to the Buddha for help. No matter which world, this was perhaps a common human trait. From afar, he glanced at Enning Yao through the classroom window and then headed directly to the quiet room. Seeing Xianxia sitting quietly on the stone bed, Su Jingzhen let out a sigh of relief. He was really a bit afraid that when he came back, Xianxia would be gone. "What's going on? Did you achieve your goal?" Seeing Su Jingzhen's uncontrollable joy, Xianxia raised an eyebrow and asked. Su Jingzhen didn't say a word, directly taking out the box from his storage bag. Then he opened it. "Miss Xuang, can you help me take a look? Is this brick a high-quality one?" Looking at the brick lying in the box, which exuded a simple and unadorned aura, Su Jingzhen was extremely satisfied no matter how he looked at it. Xianxia's eyes revealed a hint of curiosity. She walked over, stretched out her hand, and took the brick. She weighed it in her hand a few times. Although the brick was not large, its appearance was not impressive, and Xianxia holding it in her hand seemed somewhat mismatched. But at this moment she furrowed her brow. It was as if there was an invisible, dark energy invading the brick, but the brick still didn't react at all. She tried again several times, but it was still the same. Later, Xianxia pouted and said, "The material is not bad, but it's a broken, useless thing. And I think you must have spent a lot to buy this thing." As she asked, Xianxia's face revealed a playful smile. Su Jingzhen scratched his head. It didn't cost much. Then he told Xianxia about the conditions Feng Qingye had set, and the two of them shared a laugh. After all, aside from sister-in-law Zhang Ziyu, Xianxia was the one who understood him the most. Their emotional connection had reached the level of slight fondness, which was enough for him to trust her. At least in this matter, there was no need to hide anything. That's indeed not bad. But being able to treasure such an ugly, broken thing like this, perhaps only you can do that. Emotional connection +8. Remaining usable points, 229. Su Jingzhen smiled silently in response to Xianxia's teasing. If Xianxia could increase his points every time she teased him, he hoped she would never stop, and he would be overwhelmed with points. In the cultivation world, some people chose their artifacts to show off, while others chose them to suit their own abilities. But Su Jingzhen just wanted something that fit. What artifact he used wasn't important. What mattered was the feeling of holding it in his hand. Ugly or not, as long as it was useful, that was all that mattered. Still excited, Su Jingzhen directly put the brick into his storage bag. As for what to name it, he hadn't thought of anything yet. Next, Su Jingzhen took out the alchemy furnace from the corner and prepared to use up the remaining 20 green spirit pill materials. He had been making good use of his time lately. After returning from the treasure-gathering pavilion, it was still before noon. After refining the green spirit pill, he would still have enough time to practice the Python scale's power and then use some body-refining liquids. The plan was going well. However, at this moment, the door suddenly rang with a knock. Su Jingzhen raised an eyebrow. At this time, Xianxia was probably already at Clear Wind Mountain. Who else would be knocking on his door for no reason? Could it be Luo Yuebai? With some doubt, Su Jingzhen opened the door. But he saw a strange man standing on the stone steps, and Su Jingzhen's heart became slightly vigilant. In this era, strangers might mean danger. The man saw Su Jingzhen and smiled. "May I ask if you are Mr. Su?" Su Jingzhen nodded silently. The man continued, "Greetings, Mr. Su. I am Liu Bingyan, a teacher from Kuiliu Ali Kuiliu School. I'm here to deliver an invitation from our school's principal, Chen Chong, to you." As he spoke, Liu Bingyan took out a golden invitation from his pocket. Seemingly knowing Su Jingzhen had questions, he smiled and explained, "Today is the day Chen Jinshi, the principal's nephew, is leaving his seclusion. Principal Chen is hosting a grand celebration in Linjiang City, inviting all the alleys and streets. The banquet will start at dusk today. We hope you can attend, Mr. Su." Without giving Su Jingzhen a chance to ask questions, Liu Bingyan directly left. As Liu Bingyan's figure quickly disappeared from his line of sight, Su Jingzhen's eyebrows furrowed. He gazed at the golden invitation in his hand, lost in thought. Tomorrow was the day of the Huyang sect's spirit awakening ceremony. But Chen Jinshi had already left the sect, and was even holding a grand banquet. Chen Chong is working for Huyang sect, just like sister-in-law Zhang Ziyu, but he wasn't summoned to Clear Wind Mountain. It seems that it is still because of Chen Jinshi. Su Jingzhen muttered to himself, frowning even deeper. It seemed that sister-in-law Zhang Ziyu and the others who went up the mountain were indeed in danger. After thinking for a moment, he closed the door and returned to his quiet room. "What's wrong? Are you scared?" Liu Bingyan's words from earlier still echoed in his mind, and with Xianxia's cultivation, she naturally heard everything. "I don't know how many people from Peach Blossom Alley Chen Chong has invited, but it doesn't matter to others. I just feel like this is a trap for me." Su Jingzhen forced a bitter smile at Xianxia. Xianxia's face showed some disdain. "In the end, you're still afraid." Su Jingzhen shook his head. "Afraid? I'm not afraid. With Miss Shuang here, what do I have to be afraid of?" When he said this, Xianxia was slightly taken aback. This guy didn't treat her as an outsider. However, thinking about it, Su Jingzhen's words seemed to be true. Xianxia didn't refute him, and instead smiled and asked, "So, are you going to this night banquet?" Su Jingzhen fell into deep thought, and after a long time, he slowly nodded. "Compared to attending that useless night banquet, I'd rather spend the night cultivating in my quiet room. But tomorrow is still the day of the ceremony. I'll go and take a look tonight, and I'll have a better understanding tomorrow." Su Jingzhen knew that some things couldn't be avoided. Why not take advantage of Xianxia's presence and participate openly? There was a big difference between being passive and taking the initiative. If he didn't go, not only would he miss out on a lot of information, but he might also be looked down upon by Chen Chong. In fact, Su Jingzhen didn't care about the school's affairs. Opening a school for a year was nothing compared to refining pills in 1 hour. But as he said before, there was a difference between closing the school himself and being forced to close it by someone with malicious intentions. The most important thing was that Chen Chong had already sent assassins to Enlightenment School to take his life. It was already destined that there would be no reconciliation between them. Su Jingzhen's name was already on Chen Chong's blacklist, and it was only natural to thoroughly eliminate him. Su Jingzhen had never been one to provoke trouble, but when trouble came to his doorstep, he wouldn't be afraid. Especially with Xianxia and Golden Finger by his side, he was even more confident. Xianxia nodded silently, acknowledging his point of view. If Su Jingzhen still hid in Enlightenment School like a turtle, afraid to face the situation, Xianxia would look down on him. Emotional connection +8. Remaining usable points, 237. As Xianxia thought this, a golden font appeared before Su Jingzhen's eyes. Shuangjiang then said, "Since you've come to a decision, don't refine pills for now. You should practice the Python scales power 15 times. Then we can use some body tempering liquid, and maybe we can even increase your strength before we leave." Su Jingzhen was slightly surprised by her words. His original intention was to refine more pills during this time. After all, with Shuangjiang by his side, there wouldn't be any safety issues. However, Shuangjiang seemed to have seen through his thoughts and said, "No matter what happens tonight, I won't intervene unless you're in a life-or-death situation." If it were before, Shuangjiang would have definitely tried to persuade Su Jingzhen to let her take care of Chen Chong or Chen Jinshi. That way, the debt from this encounter, as well as the cause and effect from their meeting, could be repaid. But now, after seeing Su Jingzhen's terrifying alchemy and body tempering abilities, Shuangjiang's thoughts had changed. She wanted to bring him to a bigger stage, introduce him to her old friend, and cultivate him further. Sometimes she would unconsciously want to nurture Su Jingzhen first. That way, she wouldn't need to help him unless absolutely necessary. However, she herself might not even realize that these thoughts and changes were not just because of Su Jingzhen's displayed potential. It was mainly because of the emotional connection she had with Su Jingzhen, which had reached the level of slight fondness. Her thoughts were generated subconsciously. Su Jingzhen was taken aback, then forced a bitter smile and nodded. Shuangjiang had already said so much, what could he say? Okay. He moved the alchemy furnace to its original place and began practicing the Python scales power. Whether it was body cultivation or alchemy, Su Jingzhen was extremely meticulous once he entered a state. This aspect of him also earned Shuangjiang's admiration. However, even though Su Jingzhen's body cultivation had already reached the 4th layer of the flesh-body mysterious embryo, he still couldn't practice the Python scales power 15 times in one go. By the 10th time, his body had already started trembling, and his face was deathly pale. During the practice, he discovered that the movements of the Python scales power seemed to have a lot of room for improvement with each repetition. Finally, on the 12th try, he fainted, collapsing to the ground. At this time, Shuangjiang's eyebrows furrowed slightly. Su Jingzhen had entered a state too quickly, and he hadn't even prepared the body-tempering liquid bath. After a moment of thought, Shuangjiang sighed. "I've never prepared a bath for anyone before. I'm doing you a favor." With a slightly dissatisfied mutter, Shuangjiang left the quiet room. She soon returned with a bathtub of warm water. As before, she casually tossed Su Jingzhen into the bathtub like a little chick. Then she poured 3/4 of the body-tempering liquid into the water. As before, Su Jingzhen's body automatically absorbed the energy of the body-tempering liquid with ease. The absorption was still perfect. In less than half an hour, the water in the bathtub became clear again. Shuangjiang looked at Su Jingzhen, her eyes filled with anticipation. She knew that these body-tempering liquids had a huge effect on Su Jingzhen, especially since he was a being who had opened up the secrets of the human body. In a short period of time, breaking through to the 5th layer of the flesh-body mysterious embryo was not impossible. Your body cultivation has already reached the 4th layer of the flesh-body mysterious embryo, yet your muscles haven't bulged or become distorted. Instead, you're still the same as when you started, which is the characteristic of a true body cultivator who has opened up the secrets of the human body. Your future is becoming more and more promising. Currently, most body cultivators in the cultivation world could be identified by their appearance. Someone like Su Jingzhen, who didn't show any signs of body cultivation, was rare. This characteristic, in Shuangjiang's eyes, might be a natural fit for the pig-eating-the-tiger technique. While thinking about this, Su Jingzhen had already woken up and was stretching lazily in the bathtub. As his joints cracked, a surge of powerful blood and flesh energy, stronger than before, seemed to burst forth in his meridians. Su Jingzhen was initially stunned, then overjoyed. He could clearly sense that his blood and flesh energy had almost doubled. This was a breakthrough. I've reached the 5th layer. Body cultivation, especially body cultivators like Su Jingzhen's, who had opened up the human body's secret repository. From the outside, it's impossible to tell what level of cultivation one has achieved. Even Xianxia could only sense it by invading his body with her spiritual power. As Su Jingzhen's joyful voice rang out, Xianxia's mouth curved into a slight smile. Indeed, everything was going as she had predicted. Su Jingzhen's body cultivation pace and talent were increasingly satisfactory. Emotional connection +8. Remaining usable points, 245. The golden words flashed before his eyes again, and Su Jingzhen's excitement grew. His body cultivation had already reached the 5th layer of the flesh-body mysterious embryo, which corresponded to the 5th layer of Kai cultivation. Moreover, as a legitimate body cultivation that opened up the human body's secret repository, his combat power wouldn't be inferior to most mid-stage Kai cultivators. Su Jingzhen estimated that with his current strength, he could defeat Lin Ping in a head-on battle, even without ambushing him. Moreover, he still had 245 emotional connection points remaining. With these points, he could open up the Surging Spring acupoint at any time. As long as he could unlock the Surging Spring acupoint, his physical strength would surge. Breaking through 2 more layers of body cultivation wouldn't be a problem. It was astonishing to think that all these changes had occurred within half a month. As he thought of this, his gaze towards Xianxia grew increasingly fervent. What a noble person she was! From now on, Su Jingzhen had decided that during the limited time Xianxia would be by his side, he would try to obtain as many points as possible. After all, getting 8 points at once was truly exhilarating. Seeing Su Jingzhen's fiery gaze, Xianxia's eyebrows slightly furrowed. Her face was still icy, but she didn't know that the points had already exposed her. Su Jingzhen smiled and nodded, getting out of the bathtub. He looked out the window again. It's getting late, let's get ready to head out. We can't be too early or too late for the banquet. It was half an hour later. Su Jingzhen and Xianxia, accompanied by Enning Yao, locked up the school gate and headed towards Qiuliu Alley. With Xianxia by his side, Su Jingzhen didn't have to worry about any safety issues. Chen Chong, a prominent figure in Linjiang City, was hosting a banquet to celebrate his nephew Chen Jinxi's achievement. Many cultivators had been invited, and the banquet would surely be a grand affair. Bringing Enning Yao along would also occupy an extra seat, which was a good thing. However, Enning Yao seemed a bit nervous, clinging tightly to Xianxia's hand. This scene made Su Jingzhen feel a bit surprised. The 2 girls were so intimate, and it seemed that they had gotten along well during his previous trip to the treasure-gathering pavilion. Or perhaps Xianxia had a special affection for this little girl. At this moment, the 3 of them looked like a harmonious family of 3. Taoist Su. Just as Su Jingzhen and the others were about to leave Peach Blossom Alley, a slightly surprised voice called out from behind. Su Jingzhen turned around to see his neighbor, Lu Yuebai. Lu Yuebai was holding a square box and wore a brand new, crisp white robe, looking even more handsome. Taoist Su, you're not going to the Flower Moon Pavilion to drink flower wine, but to Qiuliu Alley, right? As soon as these words came out, Su Jingzhen's mouth twitched, and hated this guy's loose tongue. In the past 2.5 years of traveling through the world of immortal cultivation, he had only been there once, right? This might make Xianxia misunderstand and affect their emotional connection, which would be a huge loss. Su Jingzhen glanced at Xianxia, who seemed to be smiling but showed no expression. Su Jingzhen's heart relaxed a bit, and he turned back to Lu Yuebai. Avoiding the previous topic, he asked directly, "Are you also going, Taoist Luo?" Lu Yuebai shook the box in his hand. "I was fortunate enough to receive an invitation from Qiuliu Alley earlier. Since I've recently moved from the outer city district, this is a good opportunity to meet some people." Then he looked at Su Jingzhen expectantly. "Shall we go together?" Su Jingzhen nodded. It would be best if there are acquaintances who can sit at a table together later. Su Jingzhen knew that Xianxia valued this person highly, and he also wanted to take this opportunity to observe him. Before long, the 4 of them left Peach Blossom Alley, crossed the main street, and entered Qiuliu Alley. As they approached the banquet location, Qiuliu School, Lu Yuebai looked at Su Jingzhen's empty hands. It seemed he didn't plan to bring any gifts. He reminded Su Jingzhen, I heard that this banquet is being held by the Chen family to celebrate Chen Jinqi's achievement. Rumor has it that the guy is very likely to be promoted to an inner disciple by Huiyang sect at the same time as the awakening ceremony tomorrow. If Taoist Su goes empty-handed, it may not be appropriate, right? In the cultivation world, people's relationships were often shallow, and cultivators were not known for their emotional depth. However, giving some people faces was still worth it. In a formal invitation like this, bringing a gift was still necessary. No matter what world you were in, sometimes you couldn't avoid interpersonal relationships. However, upon hearing this, Su Jingzhen smiled and said, this time they took the initiative to invite us, not that we are shamelessly going. We are eating at the banquet based on our ability and invitation. Why should we give gifts? As soon as he said this, Luo Yuebai's expression froze. A moment later, his gaze towards Su Jingzhen lit up. Well said, dining on our own ability. Taoist Su, you're indeed a man of character. I, Luo Yuebai, am determined to be friends with you. As he spoke, he put away the box in his hand. It seemed that this guy had finally understood. Luo Yuebai didn't know about the grudge between Su Jingzhen and Chen Chong. But from Su Jingzhen's words, he sensed that he didn't get along with Chen Chong. Compared to Chen Chong, Luo Yuebai's interest in Su Jingzhen was clearly greater. At this moment, it was natural to curry favor with him. As for Shuangjiang and Enning Yao, they were also stunned when they heard Su Jingzhen's words, looking at him with a strange gaze, as if they had just met him. Su Jingzhen didn't pay attention to the two girls' gazes, and when he saw Luo Yuebai's actions, he was also taken aback. He smiled and didn't say much. Soon, the four of them arrived at the gate of Qiuliu School. Qiuliu School occupied a much larger area than Su Jingzhen's, with a gate supported by 2 3-zhang-tall white jade pillars. Above it hung a huge signboard with the 4 characters, Qiuliu School, written on it. It looked truly majestic. At this moment, Chen Chong stood at the gate, smiling and welcoming the cultivators. Next to him were 2 Qiuliu School teachers, who had set up a table to receive gifts. Looking at the mountain of gifts, Chen Chong's smile grew even wider. Relying on Chen Jinqi's reputation and status, the cultivators who had been invited this time wouldn't be too stingy with their gifts. It wasn't a huge profit, but not a small one either. At this time, Su Jingzhen and Luo Yuebai took the lead, with Shuangjiang and Enning Yao following behind. They directly approached Chen Chong. Chen Chong naturally saw Su Jingzhen and the others arriving. His facial expression slightly froze, and then he quickly put on a fake smile again. Taoist Su, Taoist Luo, esteemed guests. Today, Chen Chong, as the host, took the initiative to step forward and welcome them. Su Jingzhen and Luo Yuebai also smiled and bowed to Chen Chong. Who wouldn't be able to put on a fake smile? Those who didn't know might have thought they were old friends who had known each other for many years. Only those around them who knew both Chen Chong and Su Jingzhen had a strange, knowing smile on their faces. It's interesting, Taoist Chen has even invited Su Jingzhen. Even more interesting is that Su Jingzhen actually dared to come and brought his whole family with him. I heard Taoist Chen has invited at least mid-level cultivators from various streets and alleys. And Su Jingzhen, if I'm not mistaken, is only at the early stages of Kai refinement, maybe only at the 1st or 2nd level of cultivation. This special treatment clearly has a deeper meaning. Who would have thought Su Jingzhen has the guts to attend the banquet? After all, he's just a bottom-tier cultivator who can only make a living by teaching. Perhaps the children he taught in previous years have performed quite well in awakening spirits, which gave him some inexplicable confidence, letting him think he is really a big shot. Seeing Su Jingzhen chatting with Chen Chong without any fear or hesitation. Many people around couldn't help but shake their heads. Their gazes towards Su Jingzhen were filled with pity. Some even thought that Su Jingzhen might not be able to leave after this trip. Haha, Mr. Su's arrival is truly an honor for my humble abode. The banquet is about to begin, please come this way. From start to finish, Chen Chong didn't show any hostility. In fact, he was even more enthusiastic towards Su Jingzhen, chatting with him for a bit before stepping aside. Behind him, a mountain of gifts on the table was revealed. Su Jingzhen and Lu Yuebai exchanged a smile, then walked over. They took out their golden invitations and handed them over. Congratulations. Congratulations. The guests took their seats, and the invitations were naturally used to verify their identities and record their attendance. Liu Bingyan, who had invited Su Jingzhen earlier, smiled as he received the 2 invitations, but only got a single congratulations in response. His expression slightly froze. What the was that all? But he still maintained a professional fake smile, thinking that maybe the gift was just slow in coming. But the next moment, he saw Su Jingzhen leading Shuang Jiang and Enning Yao, walking alongside Lu Yuebai towards the school building. What the was that really all there was to the gift? Unbelievable. Even Chen Chong, who was extremely cunning, couldn't help but have a dark expression when he saw this scene. Most of the invited cultivators came alone, with only a few bringing a Dao companion. This guy, Su Jingzhen, not only brought his whole family but also got a free ride. That was really too much. However, Chen Chong had a cold smile in his heart. No matter what, Su Jingzhen's arrival was a good thing for him. Mr. Su is really interesting. Today seems to be a good show. I think he's doing this on purpose, but why is he trying to provoke Taoist Chen like this? I really don't understand. Before, when he had followed Shuang Jiang to the 2nd floor of the treasure-gathering pavilion, he received a lot of attention. Su Jingzhen had already gotten used to it. So at this moment, in the Cultivation school, even though many people's gazes were on him, he didn't care at all. In fact, when he met some familiar cultivators from Peach Blossom Alley, he could even smile and greet them with a nod. The Cultivation school was extremely large, with a courtyard that was several times bigger than Su Jingzhen's. And this banquet was going to be held here. The courtyard, along with the surrounding classrooms, could easily accommodate the guests for this banquet. After all, many cultivators who originally had the qualifications to attend were currently trying their luck on Clear Wind Mountain. At this moment, the courtyard was already filled with long tables and chairs. Exactly 4 people per table. The tables near the center were already almost fully occupied. Lu Yuebai chose a table that was slightly farther away and beckoned Su Jingzhen and the others over. After sitting down, Su Jingzhen noticed that right next to their table was a sealed well. This well seemed familiar, and Su Jingzhen's heart couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding. Because this was exactly where he had dumped Lin Ping's corpse. It was not yet time for the banquet to start, and most of the cultivators who had received invitations had already taken their seats. Deacon Zhang from Huyang sect has arrived. Deacon Li from Huyang sect has arrived. Just as Su Jingzhen and the others were waiting for the banquet to start, a loud shout suddenly rang out. Immediately, they saw Zhang Hong and another elderly Huyang sect member, accompanied by Chen Chong, walking in. They directly took their seats at one of the 3 empty tables in the center of the courtyard. After all, Chen Jinshi had not yet become an inner sect disciple, despite his exceptional talent. In this tense situation on Clear Wind Mountain, Huyang sect was still able to send 2 high-ranking executives, which was already a great face-saving gesture. Zhang Hong and the other 2 had just sat down. When the door burst open again, another shout was heard. Treasure Gathering Pavilion's Pavilion Master Feng has arrived. Only people with special identities would be announced in this way. However, unlike before, this voice was slightly stuttering. But as the voice fell, the entire Cultivation school courtyard suddenly fell silent. Many people's faces showed shock and surprise. Has the pavilion master of Treasure Gathering Pavilion arrived? The Chen family's face is really that big. It's said that Treasure Gathering Pavilion recently changed to a new pavilion master, and most people haven't seen the new pavilion master before. The first public appearance is actually at the Chen family's place. This time, Taoist Chen is going to brag about it for a lifetime. The crowd whispered among themselves, their gazes towards Chen Chong filled with envy. Who wouldn't want to get acquainted with the Pavilion Master of Treasure Gathering Pavilion? It's just that there's no channel and no qualifications. At this moment, even Chen Chong was stunned, clearly not expecting the Pavilion Master of Treasure Gathering Pavilion to actually come. He then walked quickly to greet the Pavilion Master with a flushed face and an excited expression. Pavilion Master Feng. Can it be her? Su Jingzhen's expression also slightly froze. His gaze turned to Shuangjiang with a hint of inquiry. Shuangjiang's face was expressionless, and she didn't respond. Su Jingzhen's gaze then turned towards the direction of the main gate, with a hint of curiosity in his heart. Not only Su Jingzhen, but everyone at the banquet was looking towards the entrance. They were all curious about the new Pavilion Master of the Treasure Gathering Pavilion, wondering who this person was. Any opportunity to get to know the owner of the Treasure Gathering Pavilion would be great, and future transactions would likely be much smoother. It's not just that 2 days ago, Yan Qixing even booked a bottle of body-tempering liquid at the Treasure Gathering Pavilion, but they refused to sell it to him. It's indeed difficult for cultivators in Linjiang City to compete with the Treasure Gathering Pavilion. At this time, Su Jingzhen also heard the whispers of many people filled with anticipation. He slightly raised an eyebrow. Yan Qixing, it seemed to be Yan Zia's father. Su Jingzhen had seen them when he entered, and Yan Zia's father was indeed very fond of her, even though she was just a child without spiritual roots. Not only was he willing to spend spirit stones to buy her body-tempering liquid, but he had also brought her to this gathering. In Su Jingzhen's opinion, ordinary cultivators wouldn't do such a thing. Yan Qixing's actions could only mean one thing. That was, aside from not having awakened her spiritual roots, Yan Zia must have some other qualities that made her parents unwilling to give up on her. Thinking of this, Su Jingzhen's gaze involuntarily shifted to the corner of the courtyard, where Yan Qixing and his daughter were sitting. But he only glanced at them for a moment before withdrawing his gaze. A faint smile appeared on his lips. Whatever special qualities Yan Zia had, it was none of his business. At this time, Su Jingzhen suddenly realized that the whispers around him had stopped. The entire courtyard had fallen into silence. A purple figure suddenly appeared in Su Jingzhen's line of sight. She walked with a gentle swaying motion, like a willow tree in the wind, her slender yet not frail figure swaying with each step. Her face, which could launch 1,000 ships, was adorned with a subtle smile, exuding charm and elegance. It was none other than Feng Qingye, and she was even more stunning than before. Today, she wore a long, purple dress that accentuated her curves, unlike her previous attire at the Treasure Gathering Pavilion. Her hair was tied up with a golden hairpin, and her smile hinted at a noble bearing. Her lips curved into a gentle smile, as if greeting everyone in the room with her gaze. As soon as she appeared, her aura seemed to envelop everyone in the courtyard. By her side stood an old man with white hair, his face stern and unsmiling. Although his breath was not visible, everyone knew he was a high-level expert. As the host, Chen Chong, followed behind her, his expression solemn. It was as if a storm was brewing. It was really her. Even though Su Jingzhen had already suspected, he was still shocked when he saw her. His gaze involuntarily shifted to Shuangjiang, who remained calm and unbothered. However, her voice still reached Su Jingzhen's ears. In Linjiang City, Feng Qingye is more than qualified to be the Pavilion Master of the Treasure Gathering Pavilion. This was a sound transmission, a skill that even Su Jingzhen, who was at the second layer of Kai refining, could easily accomplish. That sister is so beautiful. Even Enning Yao, who was sitting quietly beside Shuangjiang, couldn't help but praise her. When she heard this, Shuangjiang stroked her head and said, "You'll be even more beautiful than her in the future." This was not a joke. Enning Yao was already a beauty in the making, and with time, she would be a stunning woman. Under everyone's gaze, Feng Qingye quickly walked to an empty table in the center and sat down. She nodded at Zhang Hong and the other 2 Huyang sect executives. Zhang Hong and the others hastily stood up and bowed to her. Not even a foundation establishment elder from Huyang sect would dare to be impolite in front of the Pavilion Master of the Treasure Gathering Pavilion. The old man with white hair stood quietly behind Feng Qingye, not taking a seat. It was clear that this table was reserved for Feng Qingye alone. After Feng Qingye took her seat, Chen Chong didn't dare to speak to her again. After all, the gap between their statuses was too great. Once Feng Qingye was seated, all the guests invited by the Chen family had arrived. At this time, a loud and clear laughter suddenly came from the inner hall. A young man in his 20s, with a strong and energetic stride, walked quickly to the center of the courtyard. "Greetings, Pavilion Master Feng. Chen Jingzhen has failed to welcome you properly, please forgive me." The young man wore a black robe, and his physique was robust, his features not handsome but not ugly either. However, he exuded a heroic aura, and his kai was full and unrestrained. He walked directly to Feng Qingye and bowed to her, his eyes burning with passion. This person was none other than the main character of this banquet, Chen Jingzhen. The Chen family was now able to establish a connection with the pavilion master of the treasure-gathering pavilion. Or maybe it was just this guy. Although his cultivation was only at the kai refining stage, he would likely be able to reach foundation establishment in the future, and even golden core was not impossible. And he might be the main reason why Feng Qingye was showing her face this time. In Chen Jingzhen's original plan, he wanted to show off his pride by crushing the cultivators in Linjiang City. But when he saw Feng Qingye arrive, he couldn't sit still. At this time, anyone with a discerning eye could tell what he meant by looking at Feng Qingye. But no one dared to think of him as a toad trying to eat a swan. After all, at such a young age, he had already reached the kai refining stage, which was a rare talent in Linjiang City. A genius with unlimited potential, paired with the treasure-gathering pavilion's branch manager in Linjiang City, was not an impossible match. However, Feng Qingye remained seated, her face still wearing a professional smile. "I have heard that fellow Taoist Chen is a dragon among men. Today, I see that his reputation is well-deserved. He has reached the great perfection of kai refining at such a young age. His future achievements are limitless. It's a pleasure to meet you." Feng Qingye was a skilled businessperson, and her flattery was well-practiced. But Chen Jingzhen was not a fool. He naturally sensed that Feng Qingye's tone was distant, despite her praise. So he gave up on trying to sit with Feng Qingye. After exchanging a few words, he walked to the last empty table in the center. At this time, Chen Chong stood up again, a smile on his face as he looked around at the many guests. He gave a template-like opening speech, saying a lot of words. "The banquet is now officially starting. Everyone, please enjoy the food and drinks, and don't worry about the spiritual wine and meat." Chen Chong's voice fell, and a beautiful servant girl brought in a variety of dishes. For the guests, Chen Chong's words were just a bunch of nonsense, except for the last sentence, which was useful. Finally, the banquet had begun. But at this time, Su Jingzhen noticed that Chen Chong's gaze seemed to intentionally glance at him after finishing his speech. Was this a provocation? Su Jingzhen raised an eyebrow, his lips curling up into a slight smile, but he didn't take it too seriously. After all, he had come here today prepared to be targeted. He even hoped that Chen Chong would go overboard in his treatment of him. It would be even better if he could put himself in a life-or-death situation. With Shuangjiang by his side, Su Jingzhen was fearless. At this moment, his gaze swept over Chen Jingzhen from afar. If this were in the past, Su Jingzhen might have felt envious and admired him. But now, thinking about the foundations he had built, Chen Jingzhen seemed insignificant in comparison. Su Jingzhen was still younger than Chen Jingzhen, but given some time, he was confident that he could surpass him. Before long, the dishes and wine were served. Their long table was filled with all sorts of exotic meats and colorful spiritual wines. Just from the dishes alone, one could sense the subtle fluctuations of spiritual energy. It was enough to make one's mouth water. Considering the numerous gifts he had received, and Chen Jingzhen's renowned reputation in Linjiang City, this feast was indeed worthy of his name. As the dishes were served, Su Jingzhen's attention quickly turned to the food. He couldn't afford to not eat his fill, or he would be in trouble later. At the same time, he looked at Enning Yao and smiled. Girl, eat more. Tomorrow you will awaken your spiritual roots, and these dishes will be beneficial for you. Before becoming a cultivator, if one could nourish their body with spiritual energy-infused food, it would have a positive impact on their foundation. Su Jingzhen spoke, and then he himself took the lead in eating. As a body cultivator, Su Jingzhen's demand for these dishes was undoubtedly greater. For other cultivators, these dishes were just a luxury, occasionally satisfying their cravings. But for Su Jingzhen, they were a necessity. Come on friends, let's not be polite, Su Jingzhen said to Luo Yuebai, who was sitting on the side, eating quickly. Luo Yuebai picked up a cup of spiritual wine and smiled, seemingly uninterested in the dishes. Xianxia, on the other hand, picked up her chopsticks, took a bite of the beast meat, and then frowned. She then gave up on the idea of continuing to eat. It was clear that in her opinion, even though Chen Chong had invited the head chef of the Spring Breeze Pavilion, the flavor was still far inferior to Su Jingzhen's cooking. It couldn't even stir up her appetite. As a result, the entire table of dishes became Su Jingzhen and Enning Yao's exclusive domain. After a while, many cultivators began to leave their seats. They went to socialize with other cultivators they wanted to get to know or befriend. This was also one of the main reasons many cultivators attended the banquet. Luo Yuebai smiled slightly at Su Jingzhen and Xianxia, then stood up, swaying his wine cup. Taoist Su, Taoist Shuang, please enjoy your meal, I'll take my leave for a while. After speaking, he left his seat. What surprised Su Jingzhen was that Luo Yuebai directly headed towards the 3 tables in the center of the courtyard, and his target was none other than Feng Qingye. At this time, most cultivators were also heading towards those 3 tables to pay their respects. As the host of the day, Chen Jinshi didn't need to be mentioned. Huyang sect was the local tyrant, and they needed to save face. Treasure Gathering Pavilion held a special position, and everyone wanted to get close to them. However, most people only left their names after paying their respects, then drank a cup and left. They all had their own pride. But what shocked Su Jingzhen and everyone else was that Luo Yuebai walked over with his wine cup and sat down opposite Feng Qingye. And at this time, Feng Qingye didn't show any displeasure. When this scene unfolded, Su Jingzhen noticed Chen Jinshi, who was surrounded by many people, and his facial expression slightly froze. There was a hint of displeasure and jealousy. Who is that guy? How dare he be so bold? I'm not familiar with him, probably a cultivator who just moved to Linjiang City. But why didn't Feng Qingye show any reaction? It's strange. It's clear to everyone that Chen Jinshi has feelings for Feng Qingye. This guy in someone else's territory doesn't seem to care about giving Chen Jinshi face at all, and it's suspected that he's intentionally trying to make things difficult for Taoist Chen. After the initial shock, many people began to whisper to each other again. This Taoist Luo is really interesting. Seeing this scene, Su Jingzhen became more and more curious. At this time, Xianxia raised her eyebrows. Have you already forgotten the advice I gave you earlier? Xianxia's tone was laced with a hint of mockery. Su Jingzhen was stunned for a moment. Of course not, but I am indeed a little curious about him. Su Jingzhen spoke the truth. Xianxia didn't say anything else, quietly sitting in her original position with her eyes closed and cultivating. For her, this kind of occasion was indeed quite boring. The toasting ceremony continued for a relatively long time. But from start to finish, not a single person came to toast with Su Jingzhen and his group. Almost everyone knew that he and Chen Chong didn't get along. And this time, being invited by Chen Chong, it was clear that there was a special purpose behind it. No one was willing to take the risk of offending Chen Chong by coming over to socialize with Su Jingzhen. Of course, in everyone's eyes, Su Jingzhen didn't have any value in terms of social connections. He was happy to be carefree. Half an hour later, there were still many people walking around the tables at the banquet. Su Jingzhen and Enning Yao had almost finished eating the food on their table. Su Jingzhen felt extremely good, even wanting to practice a few rounds of Python Scales power. At this time, Chen Chong stood up again, holding a cup of wine, in the center of the courtyard. "I, Chen Chong, would like to toast everyone." As he spoke, everyone at the banquet quieted down. Everyone understood that Chen Chong's toast was just an excuse, and he was probably going to get to the main point. With his current status, and with Chen Jinshi and the Huiyang sect's executives present, he wouldn't just let the opportunity pass. The cultivators who were walking around the tables also returned to their seats, aware of the situation. Many people's gazes quietly turned towards Su Jingzhen. Only Lu Yuebai remained seated at Feng Qingya's table, not returning to his seat. That guy seemed to still be chatting with Feng Qingya. At this time, people were still shocked about Lu Yuebai, but they seemed to have accepted the fact that he was sitting with Feng Qingya. What everyone was more concerned about was what Chen Chong wanted to do. Earlier, I said that I wanted to discuss some matters with everyone during this banquet. Everyone remained silent, quietly waiting for Chen Chong's next words. He continued, "I, Chen, know that my talent is limited, and my cultivation can only reach this level. But when it comes to nurturing the next generation, I am always enthusiastic. Seeing those children awaken their excellent spiritual roots, I feel extremely relieved. Establishing Cuiliu School and benefiting the children of Linjiang City has become the meaning of my life." At this point, Chen Chong's gaze couldn't help but fall on Su Jingzhen. This guy was indeed plotting something. Chen Chong's words had already conveyed a clear meaning. Everyone's gaze in the room turned to Su Jingzhen. Taoist Chen invited Su Jingzhen, who is in the refining initial stage. And it's clear that he has an ulterior motive. Let's see if this guy knows what's good for him. It's said that Taoist Chen had discussed this matter with Su Jingzhen several times before, but he refused Taoist Chen's kindness, relying on Zhang Ziu's protection. Now that Zhang Ziu has followed the main force of Huiyang sect to clear Wind Mountain, it's uncertain whether she can return. Even if she can return with Chen Jinshi's presence, Zhang Ziu might not be able to help. Anyone with a brain should know what choice to make. Zape. Chen Chong hadn't even finished speaking, and many people had already started discussing among themselves. Most of them were mocking Su Jingzhen, with an attitude of watching a good show. As for Su Jingzhen himself, he had long anticipated Chen Chong's provocation. At this moment, he didn't care about the many gazes on him, and he calmly picked up his wine cup. He swirled the wine in his cup, as if toasting to each and every one of them. This demeanor made everyone present feel a sense of astonishment. This guy, Lu Yuebai, sitting opposite Feng Qingya, couldn't help but curl his lip. At this moment, he couldn't help but think of the pill fragrance he had smelled that night. He felt that Su Jingzhen was not simple at all. While everyone was whispering among themselves, Chen Chong continued, "For the future of Cuiliu School, I've made many attempts. Moreover, our teachers at Cuiliu School have already grasped a set of courses that can maximize the potential of our students. I really don't want the children of Linjiang City to miss out on this set of courses. So I intend to integrate all the schools in Linjiang City. What do you all think?" He finally said it out loud. But his words seemed to be asking everyone, when in fact, he was only asking Su Jingzhen. In the entire Linjiang City, there are only 2 schools, right? Haha, this is a good thing, we naturally have no objections. Taoist Chen's wholeheartedness for the younger generation of Linjiang City is truly admirable. Integrating the schools is a good thing. Zhang. The Chen family had Chen Jinshi, and at this time, they naturally didn't lack bootlickers. After all, this matter didn't touch their interests. Sacrificing a Su Jingzhen was nothing, anyway. Among the chorus of agreement, Su Jingzhen still didn't respond. Chen Chong's eyes narrowed slightly as he directly asked him, "Taoist Su, what do you think of my proposal?" After saying so much, it finally came down to this crucial question. Everyone couldn't help but quiet down. As Chen Chong spoke, his mouth still had a hint of a smile. In his view, Su Jingzhen should know who was in control of the situation, and he should understand how to advance and retreat. Everyone's gaze once again converged on Su Jingzhen. Lu Yuebai, sitting opposite Feng Qingya, also had a hint of curiosity in his eyes. As for Chen Jinshi and Feng Qingye, they didn't even glance over. Chen Jinshi naturally knew that his uncle was borrowing his power, but he himself wasn't interested in such matters. In Feng Qingye's eyes, the struggles between chirofining stage cultivators were just small-time squabbles, not worth paying attention to. At this time, Su Jingzhen had to respond. He stood up, still swaying his wine cup in his hand. His face seemed to reveal a thoughtful expression. I think that Taoist Chen's words are very reasonable. As soon as he spoke, everyone present had already anticipated this response. But there was still a hint of disappointment. Su Jingzhen had surrendered, and in this grand gathering, Chen Chong probably wouldn't do anything to Su Jingzhen. The good show they wanted to see was gone. Chen Chong's smile grew even more intense. Su Jingzhen's response was within his expectations. Taoist Su is a man of great sense of justice. On behalf of the children of Linjiang City, I would like to express my gratitude to you. As Chen Chong spoke, he bowed deeply to Su Jingzhen. This old guy was really good at putting on a show. At this moment, this image was just like that of a selfless, benevolent old man. The atmosphere in the room suddenly changed with this one bow. Su Jingzhen felt a sense of admiration in his heart. Chen Chong's gradual and deliberate words, his virtuous and upright demeanor, would have made him a leader even on earth. With Chen Chong's attitude, in this atmosphere, if Su Jingzhen were to sing a different tune, he would have become a burden to Linjiang City. But at this moment, he still had a puzzled expression on his face. What does Taoist Chen mean by this? Su Jingzhen's words seemed to be asking for clarification, but in reality, he was refusing Chen Chong's bow. When he said this, he slightly turned his body, not accepting Chen Chong's bow. Seeing Su Jingzhen's still calm and gentle smile, the people were first stunned, and then their hearts were filled with excitement. Good kid, did he really dare to refuse? He truly didn't disappoint. Chen Chong's smile suddenly froze on his face. Then he asked with a hint of doubt, does Taoist Su not want to merge Peach Blossom Alley's Enlightenment School into Kuiliu Alley? Is Taoist Chen joking? When did I say I wanted to merge the schools? Su Jingzhen's eyes still had a puzzled expression, as if he didn't understand. Chen Chong frowned again. Didn't Taoist Su agree with me earlier? As soon as he spoke, Su Jingzhen laughed. Yes, I indeed agreed with Taoist Chen's words, but did I ever say I wanted to merge the schools? Wanting to play with words, Su Jingzhen, a two-worlds cultivator, could nitpick Chen Chong to death. Originally, if Chen Chong didn't provoke him, Su Jingzhen would have been happy to eat and leave. But if Chen Chong wanted to play dirty, Su Jingzhen wouldn't be afraid at all. Chen Chong's smile had completely disappeared from his face. His face gradually darkened. Can I assume that Taoist Su is playing me? As a cultivator, I can be killed but not humiliated. I, Chen, certainly am wholeheartedly concerned about the future of Linjiang City's younger generation, and that's why I'm having a serious discussion with you about this matter. He didn't expect to be treated like this, with such ridicule and humiliation. It seems that Taoist Su needs to give me a reasonable explanation today. As soon as he spoke, Su Jingzhen was stunned again. In secret, he thought that if Chen Chong were to return to Earth, he would not only be a great leader, but also a movie star. He had just added another crime to his list. Chen Chong's words could be translated to, "You dare to look down on me, then go die." He had realized that Chen Chong's series of moves today were likely intended to kill him. Just like last time when Lin Ping was sent to assassinate him, if not for his good luck, Su Jingzhen would have been dead for sure. And today, regardless of whether he had agreed with Chen Chong's views or not, whether he would directly choose to merge the schools, Chen Chong would always be able to find a reasonable point to attack him. This old guy, no wonder he was still only a late-stage chirofining cultivator at his age. He must have spent all his time calculating and scheming. Su doesn't know why Taoist Chen said this. There is no explanation, of course. Su Jingzhen put down his wine cup and waved his hand. Since Chen Chong wanted to find trouble with him, and Shuang Jiang was present, he was more than happy to accept the challenge. If someone with a strong backing didn't dare to cause trouble, it would be a disappointment. Moreover, Chen Chong was currently the only one causing trouble, which was far from enough. His goal was to test Chen Jinxi's reaction. Chen Jinxi had just come out of seclusion, and might be able to advance to become an inner disciple of Huiyang sect the next day. Therefore, his attitude would greatly influence Huiyang sect's stance. And that, in turn, would determine Su's attitude towards Huiyang sect. Then he looked at Chen Chong and said, "I from the beginning have never said that I wanted to merge Peach Blossom Alley's Enlightenment School with Qiuliu Alley, and Taoist Chen can't deny that, can he?" "It's you." Chen Chong was slightly stunned when Su Jingzhen said this. He opened his mouth but couldn't say anything to refute. Emotional connection +8. Remaining usable points, 253. As soon as Su Jingzhen's words fell, a small golden character floated in front of him. He subconsciously glanced at Shuangjiang and saw that the corner of her mouth was also curled up in a smile. Shuangjiang's scar was still visible, but when Su Jingzhen saw her smile, he felt for the first time that it wasn't unpleasant. It was clear that Shuangjiang also acknowledged Su Jingzhen's performance at this moment. Su Jingzhen's mouth also curled up in a similar arc. The big leg had acknowledged him. From now on, he wouldn't have any more worries about this matter. On this topic, Chen Chong admitted that he had underestimated Su Jingzhen. He hadn't expected Su Jingzhen to be so quick-witted. But Chen Chong coldly laughed and said, "Merging the Enlightenment schools of Linjiang City is the common wish of all, the expectation of all. Many fellow Taoists have already expressed their attitudes, and Taoist Su, are you going to stubbornly stand in opposition to all the fellow Taoists? Don't you know that your cultivation is only at the initial stage of Kai refinement? How can you be trusted to teach the children?" Previously, his proposal had already received many people's approval. Many people present wanted to form an alliance with the Chen family. At this time, it was impossible for anyone to stand on Su Jingzhen's side. Deliberately mentioning Su Jingzhen's cultivation was almost like an insult, making him see his own limitations. At this banquet, all the people he had invited were at the middle stage of Kai refinement, or above. Only Su Jingzhen was at the initial stage of Kai refinement. Who among the seated guests wasn't stronger than him, and who wasn't afraid of offending him? But when Chen Chong spoke, Su Jingzhen's face still maintained a warm smile. It turned out that he had been waiting for Chen Chong to say this. If we're talking about martial power, then I, Su, am naturally not worth mentioning at the initial stage of Kai refinement. But if we're talking about getting children who haven't started cultivating, can it be judged by cultivation? If we must compare, then why don't we compare the effects of the two schools' children in the upcoming awakening ceremony? I wonder what Taoist Chen thinks. He had always had absolute confidence in Enning Yao. Today, seeing Shuangjiang's fondness for Enning Yao, he was even more confident. He knew that Shuangjiang must not be an ordinary person, just like himself. Many children from Qiuliu School had previously studied at Peach Blossom Alley's Enlightenment School. Su Jingzhen didn't say that he had taught all of them, but he had some impression of most of the children. He believed that no one was more excellent than Enning Yao. So if they were to compare results, in his opinion, he only needed Enning Yao to surpass all of them. Su Jingzhen also knew that this might be the point that Chen Chong was most worried about. If he was confident, he wouldn't have chosen to hold this banquet on the eve of the awakening ceremony. In this way, he was targeting himself. Su Jingzhen seemed to be speaking casually, but he had grasped the initiative. This surprised the people at the central 3 tables. To them, it wasn't that Su Jingzhen's quick wit was so impressive. Rather, they were astonished that a Kai refinement beginner with no background and no foundation dared to challenge Chen Chong, a prestigious and powerful Kai refinement late-stage cultivator. Was he really so fearless, or was he just foolish? Lu Yuebai's gaze towards Su Jingzhen became even more curious. He increasingly felt that the pill fragrance he had smelled that night might be related to Su Jingzhen. If he was a high-quality alchemist, it was possible that he wasn't afraid of Chen Chong, or even the entire Chen family. As the situation developed to this point, Feng Qingye, sitting across from Luo Yuebai, also revealed a hint of interest in her eyes. Just now I saw that Taoist Luo came from that side, and Taoist Luo's friend seems to have quite a personality. Could it be that his boldness comes from you, Taoist Luo? Feng Qingye asked curiously. Earlier, during her conversation with Luo Yuebai had intentionally or unintentionally revealed some things to her. She knew that Luo Yuebai was not simple either. At least, he shouldn't be afraid of the Chen family. No, I've only known friend Su for a short time, and we just happened to be neighbors. Luo Yuebai didn't explain much about Su Jingzhen to Feng Qingye. Some things were better left unknown, and it was enough for one to discover them on their own. There was no need to share with others. Meanwhile, Zhang Hong and another elder from Hutyang, sect at another table, also smiled. They looked at Chen Chong with interest, then at Su Jingzhen. These two people, with their obviously unequal identities, could collide and create sparks, and they were somewhat looking forward to it. Although they were on the same side as the Chen family, in their eyes, if Chen Chong couldn't even handle a Kai refinement beginner like Su Jingzhen, they would also be disappointed. Ah, Taoist Chen, you won't even dare to take this on. Taoist Chen previously said that the teachers at Cultivation Alley School had mastered a set of optimal methods to unlock potential. It's likely that the children from Cultivation Alley School will perform exceptionally well in tomorrow's awakening ceremony. Su Jingzhen spoke with a calm tone, with a hint of teasing. There was no trace of the tension and fear that others thought he should have. He was showing off his strength to the enemy. With unequal identities, but with such fearlessness and composure, it would only make everyone feel that Su Jingzhen had someone backing him up. And that person was definitely not Zhang Ziyu, a Kai refinement late-stage cultivator. At this moment, some people's understanding of Su Jingzhen began to waver. Su Jingzhen suddenly became somewhat mysterious in their eyes. They felt that this guy was not as simple as they thought. It was clear that they were right. Chen Chong still didn't respond to this. His face turned increasingly ugly. Looking back at the records of Peach Blossom Alley School's spiritual awakening, it seemed that the kids from Peach Blossom Alley School had incredibly good luck. But if one thought about it, what if it wasn't luck, but Su Jingzhen was really capable? If this were true, wouldn't it be exactly what Su Jingzhen wanted? In front of everyone, with all eyes on them, there was no room for retreat. He could only follow Su Jingzhen's way of doing things. But if he lost, Chen Chong absolutely couldn't accept the consequences. Today's original plan was to take it one step at a time, pushing Su Jingzhen to the brink of death and avenging Lin Ping's death. But damn it, how did the situation seem to be slipping into Su Jingzhen's hands? As Chen Chong thought about his next move, Chen Jinshi took a sip of wine from his cup. He stood up straight, his eyes fixed on Su Jingzhen for the first time. He said calmly, "Merge your school with ours." When Chen Jinshi spoke, his tone was very calm, but it was filled with an unyielding sense of authority. He wasn't discussing with Su Jingzhen, but rather issuing a command. As soon as his voice fell, all the guests present immediately quieted down again. Their eyes all had a hint of excitement. With Chen Jinshi personally taking action, the real show was about to begin. They wanted to see how Su Jingzhen would respond to Chen Jinshi's words. At this time, Feng Qingye and Luo Yuebai, who were not far from Chen Jinshi, also had a hint of curiosity in their expressions. It seems that the Chen family is not as powerful as we thought. Does such a small matter require the person with the highest status at present to come forward? Luo Yuebai smiled slightly and whispered. Upon hearing this, Feng Qingye also laughed. Indeed, it's quite interesting. I'm also curious about what Su Jingzhen's final reliance is. Judging from his demeanor, he shouldn't be a complete fool. Feng Qingye and the others didn't intentionally pay attention, but they knew that Su Jingzhen's previous performances were all intentional. On the other side, Xianxia and her father, Yan Qixing, were also watching with curiosity from a distance. Today's Xianxia was dressed up, and her natural beauty was already outstanding. She had added a few more touches of elegance, making her a stunning sight. Although she couldn't compare to Feng Qingye, who was sitting in the center, she was still a beautiful scenery. At this time, she looked at Chen Jinshi, who was exuding an aura of calm authority, and her eyes had a hint of admiration. In her opinion, this was the kind of person who should be her ideal partner. If her husband was someone like this, she would be willing to be his concubine. Xianxia thought to herself. One of the reasons she had followed her father here was for this. Originally, she wanted to find an opportunity to get close to Chen Jinshi, but after Feng Qingye appeared, she realized she wasn't worthy and didn't dare to take the initiative. Feng Qingye's identity and her captivating aura were not something Xianxia could compare to. She thought she could only wait for another opportunity. However, seeing Su Jingzhen suddenly jump out and confront the Chen family, she was still a bit surprised. Xianxia's mouth curved into a cold smile. He's just a clown, thinking that standing out like this will make him popular. But that requires a price to be paid. Xianxia was familiar with the cruelty of the cultivation world. At this moment, it seemed to her that Su Jingzhen wouldn't have a good ending. Thinking of this, her heart felt a hint of pleasure. The encounter on the street that day, seeing Su Jingzhen and his wife seemingly in love, had left Xianxia feeling quite unhappy. Everyone's attention was focused on the scene. Su Jingzhen's smile still had a hint of faint amusement. Chen Jinshi's direct and overbearing attitude was exactly what Su Jingzhen had in mind. He laughed again. I have heard a phrase, life is precious but freedom is even more valuable. If it's for freedom, both can be abandoned. I'm used to being free and don't want to be controlled by anyone. Enlightenment school is my means of survival, and if I join Kuliu Ali Academy, it's no different from killing me. As soon as Su Jingzhen's words fell, the scene fell into silence again. Emotional connection +8. Emotional connection +8. Remaining usable points, 269. Su Jingzhen only saw the golden words flashing in front of him again. This response was directed at Chen Jinshi, but he didn't expect it to trigger a double hit from Shuangjiang's side. This was an unexpected surprise. He subconsciously turned his head to look at Shuangjiang. He saw a hint of brightness in the other's eyes. This guy he actually dared to directly refuse. But what does this mean? Is freedom more important than life? Isn't this implying that Su Jingzhen is willing to die for his principles today? Maybe Chen Jinshi will really give him a death sentence. Truly fearless. Tomorrow, Chen Jinshi will be promoted to an inner disciple of Huiyang sect. If the inner sect disciples of Huiyang sect want to kill an early stage of Kai refining, they can make up any reason, and the rules of Huiyang sect cannot restrain them. This Su Jingzhen is still young, and doesn't understand the true rules of the cultivation world, where the strong prey on the weak. Although everyone present was shocked by Su Jingzhen's words, which seemed to contain great philosophical meaning, it was precisely because of his low cultivation level that his words sounded arrogant and foolish. In the central position, Zhang Hong's smile had disappeared, and he looked at Su Jingzhen with a slightly furrowed brow. In the eyes of the two, since Chen Jinshi had already taken personal action, it was already giving Su Jingzhen face. It was best to stop here, lest it escalate into a life-or-death situation. Although it wouldn't be a big deal, they would still have some trouble. As for Feng Qingye and Lu Yuebai, their eyes still had a thoughtful expression. They were quietly reciting Su Jingzhen's words from earlier. It seemed like they were savoring the taste, and their faces were getting more and more surprised. Some words naturally had a certain rhythm, which could touch people's hearts. Ordinary cultivators could only understand the surface meaning, so they would only mock. Combined with the fragrance of the pill that he smelled that night, Lu Yuebai's heart was already certain about some things. Lu Yuebai's eyes shone brighter. Taoist Su, you're really hiding something deep. As for Chen Jinshi, the main character at this time, his face had turned gloomy. He had always been filled with absolute self-confidence. He had never taken Su Jingzhen seriously, although he knew about Chen Chong's plan to merge Linjiang City Academy. But he had never put it in his heart. His pride did not allow him to focus on a Kai refining stage cultivator. So he thought that as long as he spoke, these troublesome matters would be easily resolved. He had never thought that he would be refused by a Kai refining stage cultivator. While he was intrigued, he was still angry in his heart. Does Taoist Su mean that you're willing to give up your life for Peach Blossom Alley's enlightenment school? As Chen Jinshi said this, his mouth curved into a mocking smile. A Kai refining stage cultivator dared to pretend in front of him, so he didn't mind letting him seek death. His words caused the people around him to feel a hint of hidden killing intent. Feng Qingye and Luo Yubai couldn't help but look at him, their eyebrows slightly furrowed. Su Jingzhen smiled. In life, there are always some things that must be insisted upon. If one can't even guard the bottom line in their heart, what's the difference between them and a domesticated animal? Su Jingzhen's response was still extremely calm, unwavering with a strong sense of justice. Emotional connection +8. Remaining usable points, 277. Seeing the point change, Su Jingzhen's smile grew thicker. It seemed that the heavens were increasingly satisfied with him. Excluding the points needed to open the surging spring hole, he still had 77 points left. Wonderful. At this time, his gaze towards Chen Jinshi also had a hint of disdain. He couldn't help but have a provocative intention. At this moment, every word spoken by Su Jingzhen was extremely calm and humble. Moreover, the principles contained within his words made it impossible for anyone to refute them. It was precisely this that triggered even stronger killing intent from the Chen family. Listening to his words, didn't it make the Chen family seem even more unreasonable? Before Chen Jinshi could say anything, Su Jingzhen continued, "In the cultivation world, the strong prey on the weak. The Chen family is powerful, and they actually want to forcefully take over the Peach Blossom Alley school. I'm also helpless against them." As soon as he spoke, the expressions of the people present changed again, filled with surprise. How did this guy suddenly become so enlightened? But since he understood these principles, why did he still dare to provoke Chen Jinshi to the death? The more they thought about Su Jingzhen's intentions, the more they couldn't understand him. Chen Jinshi raised an eyebrow, and a hint of a smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. "He thought you're quite clever." At this time, Chen Jinshi didn't think there was anything wrong with Su Jingzhen's words. But Su Jingzhen opened his mouth again. "However, the strong preying on the weak I mentioned only applies to the lawless lands. Here is Linjiang City, where the Huyang sect's rules can reach. I think, as a fellow who is about to become an inner sect disciple of the Huyang sect, you shouldn't be unaware of this, right, fellow Taoist Chen?" Su Jingzhen's gaze shifted to the central table, looking at the two Huyang sect executives, Zhang Hong and the others, who had not yet spoken. He, of course, knew that everything he said was just nonsense. In his past life or this life, he had never seen a place that absolutely followed the rules. Right and wrong were only determined by who had the bigger fist. However, at this moment, under the gaze of everyone, neither Chen Jinshi nor Zhang Hong dared to refute his words. Otherwise, it would be equivalent to slapping their own sect's face. Su Jingzhen's words were only meant to infuriate Chen Jinshi. Although the other party's intention to kill him was already apparent, they still had to acknowledge his viewpoint on the surface. Wasn't this more unbearable than eating a fly? At this time, the two Huyang sect executives, Zhang Hong and the others, were also secretly cursing. Damn it! They had originally just wanted to quietly watch the show, leaving everything to the Chen family to handle. But they never thought they would be dragged out by Su Jingzhen. At this moment, facing the cultivators of Linjiang City, Zhang Hong naturally couldn't not respond. He could only smile and say, "Taoist Su's words are reasonable. Since you have rented a residence on the territory of our Huyang sect, we will naturally guarantee your safety and the basic order within the city. Whoever tries to break the rules set by our Huyang sect will be our sworn enemy." Zhang Hong's words were filled with righteousness and dignity. However, his words had unintentionally given Su Jingzhen a layer of protection. At least for today, the Chen family wouldn't dare to touch Su Jingzhen within the Kuiliu school. They would even need to protect him, at least not let him die within the Kuiliu school. Otherwise, the words spoken by Zhang Hong on behalf of the Huyang sect would become empty talk. Where would the Huyang sect's face be then? Even if Chen Jinshi would likely become an inner sect disciple of the Huyang sect tomorrow, he absolutely couldn't afford to take on this matter. The killing intent in his heart had already reached an unbearable degree, yet he didn't dare to express it. It was so frustrating. If they wanted to use force, The current Su Jingzhen might not be Chen Jinxi's opponent, but if they wanted to play with words, using these clever tricks, even 10 Chen Jinxis tied together wouldn't be a match for the 2-lifetime Su Jingzhen. Seeing Chen Jinxi no longer speaking, Su Jingzhen smiled again and said, "Fellow Taoist Chen, don't you agree with my previous words? Good guy killing with a borrowed knife." The anger in Chen Jinxi's eyes was already about to erupt, but he couldn't help but nod and say, "Taoist Su's words are extremely reasonable. Anyone who breaks the Huiyang sect's rules is an enemy of our Huiyang sect. You don't need to worry about this, Taoist Su." Humiliation. This was absolutely the greatest humiliation Chen Jinxi had faced in a long time. He had stood up to take control of the situation, to show off in front of Feng Qingye and the others. He had never thought that the situation would be so easily turned around by Su Jingzhen's words. If there were fewer people, or if it weren't in such a public setting, he would have already struck Su Jingzhen dead. Now he had to guarantee Su Jingzhen's safety before he left Kuiliu Alley. The frustration was unbearable, and it was impossible to express it to outsiders. At this time, behind Chen Jinxi, Feng Qingye and Lu Yubai exchanged another glance. Both of their eyes had a hint of surprise, followed by a hint of a smile. A person in the early stage of Kai refining had completely destroyed the situation carefully planned by the Chen family with just words, and made a future foundation-building cultivator eat his own words. If this got out, it would be a legendary feat that would be talked about for a long time. Looking back, the Chen family would probably never be able to wash away the shame of today, no matter how high they rose in the future. At this time, Su Jingzhen was swaying his wine cup. I knew fellow Taoist Chen would share the same view as me. This is a kindred spirit. If you don't mind, I'd like to have a midnight chat with fellow Taoist Chen, drinking until dawn. Mind? Extremely mind. In Chen Jinxi's eyes, Su Jingzhen was being too provocative. This was intentionally trying to infuriate him. At this moment, seeing Su Jingzhen, his heart would burst into flames. He was afraid that if he stayed here any longer, he wouldn't be able to resist killing Su Jingzhen. He had already made up his mind that after he became an inner sect disciple, the first thing he would do was to get rid of Su Jingzhen. With his identity, he had countless methods to achieve this. He forced a smile and said, "There's a big event tomorrow, and I won't be able to accompany you today." This sentence was not only directed at Su Jingzhen, but also at everyone present. After speaking, he cupped his hands in respect to the crowd and headed towards the depths of the Kuiliu school. He no longer had the face to stay here. What a pity. Su Jingzhen shook his head and sighed. He sat down again, pouring himself a drink, still not caring about the strange gazes from the surrounding crowd. But at this moment, he was still feeling a sense of regret. In the cultivation world, one still needed to use wisdom to solve problems. This meant that he was still too weak. If he could slap Chen Jinxi to death with one palm, he might not have needed to set up so many traps for them to fall into. Like other transmigrators, directly using the most brutal and violent methods to push forward was the dream he, Su Jingzhen, could only aspire to but not attain. Moreover, Su Jingzhen's heart still had a hint of disappointment. His previous verbal provocations seemed to have been too gentle. They didn't even make Chen Jinxi directly erupt in anger and kill him. If that were the case, the Chen family would have been destroyed today. Thinking of this, his gaze involuntarily shifted to Xianxia beside him. "How was my performance today satisfactory?" Xianxia looked at him with a calm expression, not responding. But Su Jingzhen's eyes flashed with a line of golden text again. Emotional connection +8. Remaining usable points, 285. Xianxia's recognition was still reflected in her points. Her face still maintained a cold demeanor, as if she still thought she could maintain her aloofness in front of Su Jingzhen. "Mr. Su, won't they take revenge on you?" Xianxia didn't think much of it, but Enning Yao beside her looked worried. Although she was young, she could understand some human emotions and had clearly sensed the killing intent from Chen Jinxi. Her heart was racing with anxiety. Su Jingzhen reached out to ruffle her hair. "Don't worry, kid, there's no one who can kill me yet." In front of the child, Su Jingzhen dared to boast. Oh, Enning Yao's eyes seemed to understand, yet were also filled with doubt. However, recalling her mother's words, she trusted Su Jingzhen deeply. Su Jingzhen continued, "You just focus on performing well and strive to awaken a good spiritual root tomorrow." At this point, Su Jingzhen had already entrusted the fate of Peach Blossom Alley Enlightenment School to Enning Yao's hands. Although he no longer cared about the school's future, he was unwilling to let Chen Chong, that old scoundrel, get his way. As he spoke, he suddenly muttered to himself, "This matter isn't even done, and I'm already celebrating prematurely." He stood up with a warm smile on his face. Looking at Chen Chong, who was still standing in a daze, he said, "Chen Jinshi has acknowledged my words, so what do you think about the previous proposal, Taoist Chen?" Towards an already confirmed enemy, Su Jingzhen wouldn't show any courtesy. He would seize the opportunity to take advantage of the situation ruthlessly. Upon hearing Su Jingzhen's words, Chen Chong seemed to finally react. "Ah, what did you say?" Chen Chong's mind was in disarray. Chen Jinshi was undoubtedly disappointed and extremely angry today. All the celebrations had turned into a backlash. He blamed himself for everything. Originally, he just wanted to borrow some momentum to humiliate Su Jingzhen in front of everyone, to make up for the losses caused by Lin Ping's death, and incidentally, to completely take over Peach Blossom Alley School before the Enlightenment ceremony, to prevent any accidents from happening tomorrow. But he never thought that everything would backfire. Even though Chen Jinshi wouldn't take revenge on him, he himself was filled with self-blame. At this moment, his gaze towards Su Jingzhen was filled with hatred. But Su Jingzhen didn't care about any of this. He continued, "As I said from the beginning, the result of tomorrow's enlightenment ceremony will decide the fate of the school. What do you think, Taoist Chen?" At this point, Su Jingzhen was very patient. He didn't mind repeating himself multiple times. The current situation was almost entirely under Su Jingzhen's control. Chen Chong, even if he wanted to use other strong-arm tactics to resolve the situation, was no longer possible. After all, Chen Jinshi and Zhang Hong, the two executives, had publicly stated that anyone who broke the rules would be considered an enemy of the Huiyang sect. So much so that Chen Chong didn't even dare to threaten anymore. He was filled with regretting inviting Su Jingzhen to this place. It would have been better to pay the price earlier and hire some assassins to take care of Su Jingzhen, and there wouldn't be so many problems. In the end, it was Chen Jinshi's success that made him overlook the fact that Linjiang City was under the control of the Huiyang sect, not his Chen family. Some things could be done in secret, but not openly. He could borrow Chen Jinshi's power, but Su Jingzhen borrowed the Huiyang sect's power, and he couldn't counter it. In the end, he was an old cunning fox, and he quickly realized his mistake. After taking a deep breath, he calmed down and made a silent vow that if there was a next time, he would absolutely not make such a low-level mistake again. And he would absolutely not give the other party another opportunity to grow. Of course, if there was a next time. At this moment, he looked at Su Jingzhen and said, "It should be so." He compromised on Su Jingzhen's proposal. Even if he would ultimately suffer a setback tomorrow, Chen Chong had accepted it. However, Su Jingzhen had once again risen to the top of Chen Chong's kill list, moving up a few ranks. Upon hearing that Chen Chong had compromised, the expressions of the surrounding guests changed once again. Their gazes towards Su Jingzhen now held a hint of shock. Is it possible that an early-stage chirofining cultivator, relying on a sharp tongue, has actually changed the situation? It's truly unbelievable. We didn't discover it earlier, but it seems that Su Jingzhen has such abilities. Abilities, not necessarily. Perhaps he's just one step closer to death, or maybe he's temporarily winning with the help of the Huiyang sect's rules. But don't forget, Chen Jinshi might become one of the people who sets the rules for the Huiyang sect in the near future. There's no need to wait until then. With the Chen family's current power, it's too easy to quietly take him down. At this point, the crowd began discussing again. However, their gazes towards Su Jingzhen had changed from shock to a mixture of pity and ridicule. They all acknowledged that Su Jingzhen's performance today was indeed impressive. But not choosing to submit and obey was a foolish move. This guy is so arrogant, but we didn't notice it earlier. It's just too foolish, isn't it? Taoist Chen didn't kill him on the spot, only because he was considering the Huiyang sect's face. After this, his life won't be long either. Looking at Su Jingzhen, who was still calm and composed, Xianxia felt a surge of uncomfortable emotions. Especially since Xianxia had already secretly pledged her heart to Chen Jinshi, she was even more eager for Su Jingzhen to die. When she muttered to herself, Yan Xiao, who was beside her, slightly furrowed his brows. This matter has nothing to do with us. If you have your own pursuits, father will naturally support you. But I've always taught you that when it's not related to yourself, you should wait for the results to become clear before taking a stand. As soon as he said this, Xianxia laughed and said, "Father, do you think Su Jingzhen is really worthy of being an enemy of the Chen family? The result is already very clear to me." Yan Xiao laughed again. Is he not worthy? Then what is he doing now? Why did the Chen family ultimately still suffer a setback? Girl, you're still too young, and some things aren't as simple as they seem on the surface. Do you think that boy is a fool just because you knew him before? Yan Xiao's words were piercing. Xianxia, however, fell into deep thought. After all, there were people like Yan Xiao who, although not very strong, had a keen eye for problems. Whenever he had the chance, he would pass on his experiences in the cultivation world to Xianxia. He indeed held her in high esteem. But whether Xianxia could listen and absorb it was not something he could control. Just then, Feng Qingye, who had been sitting in her seat, suddenly stood up. She was holding a wine cup in her hand. Her face still wore that professional, charming smile. She then walked towards Su Jingzhen's direction with a flirtatious air. What is this? Where is Master Feng doing? Did Su Jingzhen's showy performance really catch Master Feng's attention? Seeing Feng Qingye's action, the surrounding crowd was shocked. The discussions started once again. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and like the video and comment down if anything wrong in the story.